Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. Smart Glue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimization, improved decision-making and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more. Coming up, Melbourne's Lord Mayor condemns protest violence. Kingston's second monitor announced. Wodonga's new councillor questions the use of a hospital lobbyist. Victoria's new police chief meets regional councils on crime. Central Darling elects its first councillors in a decade. Albury Council's deficit cuts to be revealed tonight. A record 9 candidates to contest Townsville's mayoral by-election. And WA's local government minister flags compulsory council voting after a low election turnout. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is the Local Government News Roundup, a curated selection of news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Thanks for joining me for this Monday, the 20th of October edition, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Also later we'll have some of those results from the Western Australian local government elections that have been coming in. But let's start with our Victorian roundup. And Melbourne Lord Mayor Nick Rees has condemned violent clashes at opposing immigration protests in the CBD on Sunday, accusing demonstrators of ruining the city and pledging to work with the state government to end what he called a cycle of madness. The Age reported that police deployed flashbangs and rubber bullets as around 1,000 anti-immigration protesters and 1,000 counter-protesters clashed, resulting in 2 officers being hospitalised and 1 protester arrested after rocks and bottles were thrown at police. The Victorian Government has appointed John Watson as the second municipal monitor for the city of Kingston, joining John Tanner AM, who was appointed in August. The monitor's term runs until the 31st of December. Mr Watson is a former council CEO and former executive director of Local Government Victoria. He was the municipal monitor at Darebin City Council in 2022-23. His appointment at Kingston will be a reunion of sorts, as both men were administrators at Brimbank City Council during its period of administration in the mid-2010s. Kingston Mayor Georgina Oxley and CEO Peter Bean have committed to working closely with both monitors to deliver excellent service to the community. Newly elected Wodonga councillor Ron Mildren has questioned the merit of hiring a private lobbyist to advocate for a new border hospital. The council will debate contributing $17,500 towards an Albury-Wodonga Regional Health Alliance plan at its October 27 meeting, with neighbouring councils having already committed funds. The Border Mail reported that Councillor Mildren is suggesting that well-informed mayors working collectively would be more effective than paying an external influencer to push the issue with state and federal governments. He's also criticised current Mayor Michael Goebel's handling of council meetings, suggesting he may be too inexperienced for the role. Councillor Goebel has confirmed to the Border Mail that he will seek re-election for a second year as mayor, emphasising that diversity of opinion strengthens council decisions, particularly on the push for a new Albury-Wodonga hospital. Victoria's newly appointed Police Chief Commissioner Mike Bush has met with Regional Cities Victoria representatives to hear concerns about rising crime and community safety in regional areas. Mildura's Mayor Helen Healy raised concerns about the municipality's size and distance from other centres, requesting equitable police resourcing and response capabilities. The Mayor welcomed the Chief Commissioner's commitment to engage with regional leaders and ensure regional voices help shape Victoria's law and order priorities. Ballarat Mayor Tracy Hargraves was also part of the session, raising issues such as youth crime, antisocial behaviour and gendered violence. Her council is calling for stronger police collaboration and resourcing to match local crime trends and rebuild community confidence. Hume City Council has welcomed a VCAT decision ordering the immediate cessation of truck activity at 370 Riddle Road in Sunbury's Canterbury Avenue. The tribunal ruling comes after council investigations into community concerns about unauthorised use of the site, bringing relief to local residents who've been impacted by heavy vehicle movements. Any future works on the land will require council permits with stringent conditions, and the site will be closely monitored for compliance. Casey Council says it's halfway through replacing more than 250,000 bin lids across the municipality to meet Victoria's new standardised waste system. The Dandenong Star Mail reported that the changeover, which began in August, has seen contractors visit over 80,000 properties with an 85% bin presentation rate exceeding expectations. Moorabool Shire has become the first local government in Australia to launch CityBot, an AI-powered service platform that provides 24/7 resident support with automatic translation across 70 languages. The initiative was delivered entirely by existing staff, without consultants or new roles, demonstrating what CEO Derek Madden calls trust-based leadership and innovation. The system will integrate with the council's new ERP system to seamlessly manage customer requests without the need for electronic forms. More news in brief. The City of Greater Geelong has endorsed its 2025-26 priority projects document ahead of a state election, with major investment in Avalon Airport as Victoria's second international airport, named as a critical funding priority. Bass Coast Shire Council is seeking community feedback on a revised aquatic strategy that prioritises redeveloping the existing Bass Coast Aquatic and Leisure Centre in Wonthaggi, with a new Phillip Island facility to follow as a second stage. The staged approach reflects current financial realities. And Moorabool Shire will host a statewide summit on illegal dumping on the 30th of October, bringing together mayors and senior staff from councils across Victoria. The summit comes after the council was forced to pay $500,000 to clean up toxic waste on council-managed land near Bacchus Marsh, while the property it originated from was under EPA surveillance. You can hear more about that story in my interview with Mayor Councillor Paul Tatchell that aired last week on the Local Government News Roundup. Now on the roundup for this Monday, the 20th of October, let's head to New South Wales, and Central Darling Shire Council election results have been declared, with Peter Sullivan elected in A Ward, Max Bradley in B Ward and Daniel Fusey elected uncontested in Ward C. 10 candidates stood for election across the council's 3 wards in the first elections for the Shire since it went into administration more than 12 years ago. The Minister for Local Government will shortly appoint 3 additional councillors as part of a new rural and remote council model. Further details about the first council meeting will be announced following the Minister's decision on appointed councillors. The magnitude of cuts needed to reduce Albury Council's ballooning deficit is set to be revealed at a public briefing tonight, according to the Border Mail. Finance Manager Justin Finlayson will outline findings from a service delivery review conducted by Sydney-based consultants Morrison Lowe, marking the first time councillors will learn about potential responses. Mayor Kevin Mack suggested the axe could be taken to operations duplicated within the community, but said a specific response would be guided by the consultants' findings. Murrumbidgee Council's Jerilderie office has been closed while asbestos remediation works are underway following the discovery of asbestos-containing materials last month. All council services are being provided from Jerilderie Library next door, with the exception of banking services which have ceased. Air and dust testing has shown levels within normal environmental ranges, and staff will only return once a Class A licensed removalist completes the work and clearance certificates are issued. Fairfield City Council is investigating unauthorised access to a portion of its internal IT systems by an external third party. The council says it immediately worked to contain the breach and has commenced an investigation into what happened and what information may have been impacted. Most council services are operating as usual, with some temporary workarounds in place. Cessnock City Council will seek community feedback on a potential special rate variation to address a structural funding gap identified in its financial sustainability review, if approved at an extraordinary council meeting that's been called for this Wednesday. The council will notify the Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal of its intention to conduct a comprehensive community engagement process, including surveys to every household and business, listening posts and information sessions across the local government area. The consultation results will inform whether the council proceeds with a formal application to increase rates above the annual rate peg. Clarence Valley Council has passed a motion opposing the Environmental Planning and Assessment Bill 2025, citing concerns it reduces local planning control and transparency. The motion, brought by Councillor Greg Clancy, was carried 6 votes to 3 and calls for letters to be sent to the Premier and relevant ministers requesting formal public consultation on the reforms. 3 Orange City councillors have filed a rescission motion to overturn a newly imposed cap on ratepayer-funded event attendance. The original motion, passed by a narrow 6-5 vote, was designed to limit attendance at any single external event to half of the sitting councillors. Deputy Mayor Tammy Greenhalgh and others argue the arbitrary cap harms their ability to learn, advocate and build key networks for the city, with the issue set for another vote tomorrow. Georges River Council has abandoned plans to develop 8,200 new homes in the area, according to the St George and Sutherland Shire leader. The controversial housing proposal had drawn significant community opposition and raised concerns about infrastructure capacity. Lismore City Council has written to federal members expressing concern over approximately 8 illegal tobacco and vape shops operating in the CBD, highlighting organised crime implications and requesting information on federal compliance and enforcement measures. And Mid Coast Council is using specially trained dogs to detect invasive weed species across the region. The innovative approach provides a more efficient method for identifying problem plants before they spread. The Biosecurity Initiative aims to protect native vegetation and agricultural land from invasive species. Heading into Queensland, and Fraser Coast Regional Council has appointed Micah Martin as its new CEO, bringing over 30 years of local government experience to the role. Ms Martin previously served as CEO at Cairns, where she oversaw a $430 million budget and secured significant infrastructure funding, including $400 million for water security. She left that role in April 2024. Ms Martin will commence her new role on the 24th of November, replacing outgoing CEO Ken Deem, who'll stay on in a transition role until his retirement mid-next year. A record 9 candidates will contest Townsville's mayoral by-election on November 15, making it the largest field in recent history, according to the Electoral Commission. 27-year-old Sean Gleeson secured the top spot on the ballot paper, with former Mayor Troy Thompson drawn second and resigned Hinchinbrook MP Nick Demetto in fourth position. The full postal vote will be distributed from Brisbane from today, with results to be tallied from 6 p.m. on election night and a final deadline of November 25. More on that from the Townsville Bulletin. Queensland's Crisafulli government is facing a new Jobs for Mates controversy after appointing former Flinders Shire Mayor Jane McNamara as chair of the Queensland Reconstruction Authority. Ms McNamara's appointment is complicated by her links to a disgraced council CEO who faced substantiated allegations of corrupt conduct while she was mayor of Flinders Shire. The state opposition has labelled the appointment process as outrageous, according to ABC News. The chief executive of Torres Strait Island Regional Council, James William, has been removed from his position following a secret meeting as the council faces critical financial challenges and crumbling infrastructure. The Cairns Post reported that the council is grappling with a net deficit of $15.1 million, failing water and sewage systems, and questions over transparency in awarding major contracts worth $48 million. A Queensland Audit Office investigation is underway, with results expected to be tabled in Parliament early next year. And Cairns Regional Council has applied for nearly $300,000 in state government grants to deliver vital clean-up and habitat restoration works across the region. The funding applications submitted under Queensland's Environmental Cleanup and Local Conservation Program target priority sites in the northern, central and southern regions affected by extreme rainfall events. I have some Tasmanian news for you now. The Housing Industry Association there has criticised Kingborough Council for what it calls development dysfunction, saying excessive red tape and delays are preventing people from building homes. The Mercury reports that the council has introduced a planning start work notice requirement, which the HIA describes as unnecessary bureaucracy, with some projects delayed for over a year before construction can begin. Kingborough Council defends the notices, saying they ensure planning permit conditions are met before work starts and maintains its reviewing processes for efficiency. Latrobe Council is facing a childcare crisis as Catholic-run Latrobe Early Learning Centre prepares to close in December, leaving families without childcare options in a region where centres are already at capacity. Mayor Peter Freshney says the council has identified a solution working with Lady Gowrie to establish an alternative facility, but it needs $450,000 in federal funding after securing $200,000 from the state government. More on that from ABC Radio. Huon Valley Council is taking action to combat coastal erosion affecting the region. The council has released information about its strategies to protect coastal areas from the impacts of erosion and climate change. And Devonport City Council has reported a $2.9 million surplus for the 24-25 financial year, its fifth consecutive surplus, while reducing borrowings by $1.1 million. The council invested $19.6 million in capital works and continues to benefit from its Living City Urban Renewal program, with Mayor Alison Jarman highlighting the city's position as a prime location for business development. Let's shift the focus now to Western Australia after a weekend of local government elections, with some of the results filtering through. The big one in the city of Perth. Bruce Reynolds has been elected as Lord Mayor for a 2-year term which will expire in October 2027. Counting is underway for 4 vacant councillor positions, with results to be announced in due course. The Lord Mayor-elect and successful councillors will be officially sworn in at a ceremony at Council House tomorrow. Ben Lorver has been elected Mayor of Fremantle, defeating the incumbent Hannah Fitzhardinge. Fidel Kamada, Andrew Sullivan, Pip Slaughter and Melanie Clark have been elected as councillors for their respective wards. Those candidates will be sworn in at an ordinary council meeting on Wednesday. 3 frontrunners have emerged in the race for Albany's council, with more than half of primary votes counted. Former Albany MLA Rebecca Stevens leads with over 1,200 votes, followed by incumbent councillor Tom Brough with just under 900 votes and Robert Sutton with about 700. The race for the 4th councillor position remains tightly contested, according to reporting from the Albany Advertiser. The Geraldton Guardian reports that Shane Van Styn, Natasha Colliver, Tim Milnes and Serena Guidici have been elected to Greater Geraldton Council. Former Mayor Mr Van Styn secured 34% of votes in his return to council after a 2-year break, while Deputy Mayor Colliver received 13%. A record 9,500 community members voted in the election, representing 31.6% of eligible voters. But voter turnout has become an issue in these elections, and the local government minister is warning that voting could become compulsory if turnout continues to decline, with participation rates expected to fall below the usual 30 to 32% average. Hannah Beasley says she's concerned about voter fatigue after 3 elections this year and is also considering reforms to introduce full 4-year council terms to replace the current 2-year half-spill model. The minister acknowledged to the ABC that widely reported council dysfunction across the sector in recent months may have also discouraged voters from participating in local government elections. And the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder says it's not adopted a formal position on a proposed boundary adjustment with the financially troubled Shire of Coolgardie, despite the local government minister's comments last week suggesting the city was willing to merge. Mayor Glenn Wilson said the council endorsed only a draft proposal to satisfy the state government's request for a joint submission, but the city's preferred option is not finalised because the Shire failed to provide all required information. The The clarification comes after Minister Hannah Beazley decided not to suspend the Shire of Coolgardie, instead giving it a year to address its dire financial crisis. That report came from the Kalgoorlie Miner. Now for some stories of interest from overseas. In our global report, we'll start in the UK, where Norfolk County Council has backed a £1 billion devolution deal that will transfer powers over transport, housing and education from Westminster to Norfolk and Suffolk. The agreement, which includes a 30-year investment fund, requires the creation of an elected mayor for both counties, with elections scheduled for May next year. The Mercury reported that the deal has sparked controversy over the new combined authority's political makeup, with opposition parties criticising the Conservative-led council for excluding district councils and other parties from voting rights. Suffolk County Council has signed a memorandum of understanding with Ukraine's Poltava Regional Military Administration to strengthen collaboration on economic development, agriculture and tourism. BBC News reported the agreement was signed by Council leader Matthew Hicks and the Poltava administration head at the West Suffolk College in Edmonds. The partnership aims to facilitate joint research, student exchanges and business partnerships between the two regions. And Lancashire County Council's Reform UK-led administration has refused to support a call for the government to permanently ban fracking in the county. The council voted for an amended motion that replaced references to fracking with extracting shale gas and called for continuing the moratorium while commissioning an independent review of domestic energy sources. More on that from BBC News. To the US, in Florida, the Palm Bay City Council has voted 3-2 to censure one of its own, Councilman Chandler Langevin, following derogatory social media posts about Indian Americans, which prompted calls for his removal by the governor, Ron DeSantis. The censure restricts Langevin's ability to place items on the agenda without majority approval and removes him from city boards and committees, though he and his attorney plan to file suit, claiming the action violates his First Amendment rights, according to reporting from My News 13. USA Today reports that Lansing City Council has unanimously passed a resolution declaring the city an LGBTQ+ welcoming city, condemning violence and harassment against the LGBTQ+ community. The resolution comes after weeks of safety concerns from residents following a September incident at a local bar and supports access to gender-affirming care while calling for disciplinary action against those who discriminate. In Canada, the City of Vancouver is launching an exempt voluntary separation program, offering some staff members the opportunity to retire early or leave their positions voluntarily. The move follows a City Council decision to prepare a draft budget identifying approximately $120 million in savings to freeze property tax for 2026. That's according to a report from CTV News, which also reports that London City Council in Ontario is reviewing a decision that removed bedroom limits for additional residential units after a developer proposed two buildings with 32 bedrooms in total on a former single-family lot. Councillors Corinne Rahman and Deputy Mayor Sean Lewis have introduced a motion to limit additional residential units to 2 bedrooms each and cap their size at 80% of the main dwelling's floor area. The proposed changes are due to be reviewed by the Planning and Environment Committee this week. And finally, from the Philippines, the Office of the Ombudsman there has ordered the dismissal of Bourbon Town Vice Mayor Noel de Tilos for grave misconduct after he approved 570,000 pesos in anniversary bonuses in 2019 without proper appropriation ordinances. De Tilos, who was serving as municipal mayor at the time, has been stripped of his civil service eligibility and permanently barred from holding public office. He's filed a motion for reconsideration, defending his 30-year government service record and arguing the funds were properly distributed to employees, according to a report from the Manila Times. And that's your Monday dose of news from around the local government world here on the Local Government News Roundup. Edition number 506 was recorded on the morning of Monday, the 20th of October, 2025. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. You can find out more information about this episode, including story links, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wodonga people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Until our next edition on Wednesday, thanks for listening and bye for now. The VLGA's Victorian Councillor Census is back again in 2025. All councillors in Victoria will be emailed the census on the 6th of October and will have until the end of the month to complete. In its second year, the annual census captures and tracks councillor demographics, attitudes and the key challenges to local governance over time. You don't need to be a VLGA member to participate, and at no stage will the VLGA have access to an individual's responses. The findings of the census will inform, influence and lead conversations across local government and with other tiers of government, and all responses will be fully confidential. This is your chance to have your voice heard as a councillor. The Councillor Census is part of the VLGA's commitment to support councillors on their journey to be successful community representatives.